It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbing Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obi Uchendu, still celebrating International Women's Month. And I'm here, of course, with our special guest presenter, Vimbai. What's up?
Hi. Not much. Thank you for having me. It's been an incredible month.
Yeah.
Looking forward to, of course, another edition today. Where we're just spotlighting women. It's nice
Which is
that we
great.
get to run the show.
I
now and
know.
again.
I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to stay out of this one. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's been interesting to watch, and listen to the stories of these amazing women. Another great show today.
Yep.
You have two Amazons, two
Yeah.
women who have basically set the pace in their industries. Bolanle Austin Peters, who is an art guru in every respect, and of course Salawa Benny, who is an icon in music. Are you excited?
I'm incredibly excited, especially because as much as their industries look very closely knit together, their
Yeah.
stories couldn't be more different. So I'm looking forward to unearthing all the lessons, all the experiences, and hopefully extracting stuff that we didn't know before that we can all take away from, and both young women and young men can take away from this conversation.
Very true. Because
so
for
we
me,
can move forward.
for both of them, it's the fact that they started doing things that were not normal at the time they started doing it. And that is a lesson that anybody can learn, regardless of your gender. I mean, Bolanle Austin Peters went into the arts. It wasn't a very popular thing at the time. It wasn't a traditional career to follow. And now it's an amazing sort of structure and industry she's
industry now.
built. Yeah. And she's mentored so many people. Salawa Benny as well went into a genre that was so male-dominated and shattered the ceiling pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still doing amazing. And she's almost 60, I hear, which is just, I mean, I can't wait to hear all her stories. So
Right.
looking forward to it, yeah?
Yeah, me too. So should we get into it?
Of course.
All right, so make sure you keep it locked. We're going to get straight into those interviews.
This is a Rubbing Minds special for International Women's Month, powered by Lipton.
I'm joined by a lawyer, an entrepreneur, an award-winning director, filmmaker, producer, you name it. By now, I'm pretty sure you know I'm talking about Bolanle Austin Peters, better known as BAP. And she also calls herself the connoisseur of the business of arts and culture. Hello, welcome.
Lovely to see you.
It's great to have you on the special edition of Rubbing Minds. As you know, we're celebrating some of the most iconic women in Nigeria. Women who've made a footprint and an imprint in Nigerian society in all various sectors. And your name is the first name that comes up when it really is, especially when we're thinking about theater and the arts and culture. But you read your profile and realize, this is somebody who studied at LSE, a legal background. How did you become infatuated, not just with arts and culture, but with the business of arts and culture?
Well, first, it's an honor to be here, and I'm really humbled that I'm one of the women chosen to speak. Like you said, my journey started as a lawyer. So I started out being a lawyer, working with an international institution, the United Nations, in various capacities, in various countries. And then I came back home and I started working as a lawyer in a law firm and also in an oil company. But I found out that something kept drawing me towards my passion, what I enjoyed doing as a child, which was really reading books,
I love
dancing,
I love it.
and just being passionate about being a Nigerian. And that's what has really defined me as a person all through my journey. So I started Terra Culture based on the fact that in all my travels, I found out that a lot of countries celebrate who they are through their culture. And for some reason or the other, Nigeria, 16, 17 years ago when I started Terra, the identity thing was not such a big deal. For some reason, we hid our culture. So I said I was going to start a place where people can come and learn about our arts, our music, our fashion, our literature, our food, and obviously theater and movies today.
And, I want to backtrack a little bit to the time, growing up as a young girl where African cultures generally, there's certain career paths that are the more preferable, the more desired. But specifically as a young girl, did you feel that there was a certain path that you had to take, that your parents had possibly prescribed for you, just purely based on your gender, compared to what your if you had brothers or the boys in society, were they allowed to be a little bit more adventurous with their careers? This is at this, according to your context anyway.
No, within my family, my dad is a renowned lawyer, Afe Babalola, and my mom actually was in the military. So I come from a family that is not gender they're not into gender, you're a child, period. So my dad wanted me to do something professional. That's what they called it then. I mean, imagine I was in university in the 80s. So they wanted me to study law because they felt that a professional course is what...
And that's how the professional
that's
course.
what they call it, a professional course. So my passion then, my joy was history. So imagine at A-levels I did 3 different boards, and I did close to about maybe 30 books in literature, from Othello's to the 1984s to all the history of African kingdoms. So here I am studying law because everybody felt that's what I should study. And what I did find later on was that it wasn't something that I was passionate about. Unfortunately, I was strong enough and bold enough to follow my passion, and that's why I am where I am today.
And you use the word bold.
Yes.
How much resistance did you face?
Nobody, again, my family is very easy, but what I did find was that nobody understood what I was talking about. So there was that, oh my goodness, she's finally lost it, kind of, oh wow, poor girl. Wow, she's leaving this lucrative job to start, what did you say you're doing again? That's what people would ask. Cultural.
And not just books, Nigerian books.
Yes.
At a time.
And Nigerian
before-
culture.
Yeah.
And people like, the recurring question was, what did you say? Some people would be very denigrating. They'll be like, oh, how is your shop? Or, oh, how is your restaurant? So it's very interesting when I come across people like that who feel that when you're not in a professional course, then you're less of a person. But they forget that the gift of creativity is the strongest gift any human being can have. And for as long as you're not locked within a particular mindset and expected to think in a particular way, you will conquer the world.
That's powerful, because literally almost 2 decades later, we're getting there.
Yes.
We're getting
Yes.
there. Terra culture has become a hub of more than, art and literature. There's theater, there's film. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say there's series hopefully coming in the future. What are some of the aha moments you had, when you were like, actually, there's more I can do here?
So, it's been a journey. It's 16 years into that journey. And like you said, 2 things that have happened that have really blown my mind. First is mentorship. So in the past 7 years more, we have a lot of graduates coming from Harvard, from Columbia, from Imperial, from Oxford, coming to understudy us and using us as case studies. So whatever it was we were doing.
Sorry, are they Nigerian or all
Nigerians?
nationalities? Okay.
Mostly Nigerians. Then we have a lot of, obviously, you get a lot of tourism because, TripAdvisor puts us out there. We've gotten 2 certificates of excellence in back-to-back. So what happens is they come to understudy what we're doing at Terra Culture because, like you said, the world is shifting and creativity is the new economy. So you find young people who do not want to be stuck in the rut in an office and who have studied engineering, who have studied business, who all want to come back into the arts in Nigeria. And lo and behold, there are very few arts institutions in Nigeria. So they come to learn how have we been able to make an arts institution thrive in Nigeria. What is the success story behind Terra Culture? And what are we doing that they can benefit from? Because the movies, the stage, the restaurant business, the book business, all of these different forms of art, they're beginning to generate a form of income for a lot of people these days. So I dare say that a lot more Terra cultures need to come alive in Nigeria if we're going to be able to absorb the number of young people that are coming back to Nigeria into the art space.
While we're focusing on human beings, and it's powerful because I see that, your passion is for human beings, whether they be male or female.
Yeah.
And the theme for this year's International Women's Month is I Am Generation Equality.
True.
What does that evoke in you? What does that mean to you? Especially as it's not anything that's gender specific. It speaks of equality.
True.
And a generation that is equal. What does this theme speak to you when you hear it?
I am generation equality. I go back to it. It's about being a human being. It's about giving people opportunities in a world where, there's so many things that are against the youth. So we have to ensure that Nigeria as a nation protects its people, we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to feel like second-class citizens when we're outside of our space. You leave Nigeria, immediately you are treated as a second-class citizen anywhere else that we go in the world. So equality for me is about being equal on the international plane, being equal in your home to your siblings, whether male or female, being equal at workplace, the same pay for male or female, being equal in politics, because that is one area where somehow women are not really involved in Nigeria. Are men going to give it to us? No, they will not. We need to also start putting our places and positions where we can be involved in decision making. Did they say we should not get involved? No. We need to fight for it. Nobody's going to give it to us. It's the same way in the arts. Nobody has given me the right to be a director. Nobody has given me the right to be a producer or an executive producer. And the other women that are in the space, we went in there and we fought our way through it that we are going to be recognized as such. So political power is important if you're going to do anything in this world. Women need to get involved in politics. And when we're in politics, then we can make female gender specific laws that would ensure that we are safeguarded, our rights are safeguarded, because for as long as men are making the decisions on behalf of women, it's only natural. You'll do what works for you. So those are the kind of things. For me, equality means equality for all. So wherever there's an imbalance, we have to fix it, either through negotiation or just getting involved.
And, you know, especially as you speak about sort of an imbalance in the political space and, shall I say, in the balance of power when it comes to governance, in my mind, I think of, you know, economic empowerment, which is more often than not the crux of this issue. You know, whether you look at politics and business and so forth, it's he or she who signs the checks, who has the final say. That's the world we live in. And, you know, then you look at sort of the machinery behind patriarchy, and ultimately everything comes down to an economic system. It's about how the pizza is cut or the pie is divided. So I want to now, having said that, go back to Man Enough, to the production, and find out what it is that motivated you to want to go into a production that broadens the conversation on what men need and what men are facing as challenges, whether it be young men or older men, at a time where the conversation around women is just gaining momentum, and you know, finally you see that women are beginning to gain ground. I'm gonna let you stew on that because we need to take a very quick ad break. When we return, I'll still be joined by BAP, that's Bolanle Austin Peters, as we continue this conversation on Rubbing Minds. It's all about I Am Generation Equality, and she's gonna let us know all about Man Enough, the stage play. See you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. You're still tuned in to a very special edition of Rubbing Minds. This month of March, the focus is on International Women's Month. I'm joined by Bolanle Austin Peters, and just before the break, we were about to delve into Man Enough and choosing to put on a production that focused on some of the issues and challenges faced by men, specifically in Nigeria, in an environment right now where, you know, the feminism movement is louder than ever. So I'd love to know what guided this decision.
Well, again, if you look around, there are a lot of women productions centered around women. So you have Hereward, you have so many people talking about the girl child. And again, like I said, it's important that the noise doesn't drown out the fact that men are also in this society, and the pressure is also a lot on them. So Man Enough is about the story of how young men in Nigeria are finding it increasingly difficult to survive. When you leave school, you're expected to own a house, rent a house, provide for a young family, your wife, your kids. How does that happen in a situation where people don't even have jobs? So there's a young man who has to make the decision whether to go with an older woman who is promising him everything, because all he wants to do is to own a film studio, and the older guy that can help him is also preying on him and wants to take over his business. So there's so many dynamics, and of a young man who works as a regular Joe, going to work every day and can't make ends meet, eventually commits suicide. So what I'm trying to do is just to draw our attention to the fact that people are hurting. And when you look at the summary of that play, it's about the fact that our system has failed us. Our young boys are being compromised. Our young girls are being compromised. So I'm just trying to create that balance. Generation equality is about all of us. It's about the fact that we all need to be heard. It's about the fact that you, me, the young boy out there, the young girl finishing school needs to be heard as a person. And that is what Man Enough seeks to do.
So what do you say to people who may feel that giving any more airtime to the boy child is almost, self-defeating because the system favors them as much as it's difficult? Many would say the system is difficult for them. Now, just imagine how much more difficult it is for the girl child. How do we address that? The fact that there are and everybody's valid in their feelings. There are people who feel that, well, you know what, this is fair and fine, but these people they have everything. They have their share of airtime already. So, let's have more platforms or more conversations, because we're still sort of chipping away at the conversation and normalizing the struggles daily that women go through.
Yes. I mean, there's no doubt that women have a rough time in some societies. And again, I repeat, it's not about one against the other. It's about all, because you empower the girl child, and if inadvertently we disempower, because a lot of men are being emasculated, what is going to happen to the male boy child as well? So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that we create a balance.
Last but not least, I can't, round this up without asking you this in one sentence. And I know it's impossible to answer this in one sentence. That's why I'm asking you to do so. What does feminism mean to you?
Feminism to me is about you letting me be me, the way God created me, not based on gender, just being a human being. And that's all I want to be.
And you know what, it radiates from just sitting next to you. You radiate a lot of love and light for the love of people, which I think is translating into the love of history and arts and culture. And I'm so sad that this is where we need to bring it to an end. But very informative conversation we've had, and I've enjoyed your refreshing perspective on a number of issues. I know I did turn the heat up just a little bit at some point, but thank you so much.
Happy Generation Equality Women's Month.
Yes, it's Generation Equality. And that's all we have from Bolanle Austin Peters. Make sure you stay tuned, because we have another power woman coming to you after this break.
This is a Rubbing Minds special for International Women's Month, powered by Lipton.